Unfortunately, we have a lot of students that are rejected or that wind up homeless or on the street. And so, according to a recent study from Chapin Hall at the University of Chicago, LGBTQ young people are 120% more likely to experience homelessness than non-LGBTQ youth. And although family rejection is a main reason that's often cited for experiencing homelessness, additional factors also, include aging out of foster care, poverty, conflict in the home, and analyses suggest that approximately 20% to 40% of homeless youth identify as LGBT. And within this group of youth, again, when we're talking about intersectionality, some studies suggest that they're primarily youth of color. So, what are the impacts of this, and how can our communities better support LGBTQ homeless youth?
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate you for raising this question. And this is the one where it comes down to families. Because at the end of the day, this is happening because families are expressing rejecting behaviors to their child. Now, are they necessarily kicking the child out? In a lot of instances, yes. In a lot of instances, no. But if they're not directly kicking them out, what they're saying is, uh, you said you're trans, and those words are never going to be uttered again in this household. And so, if you're trying to live in an environment that is that oppressive to your identity, of course, that is why we're seeing more and more of our young people running away. This was definitely something that we saw heightened instances of amidst coronavirus as well, because for many of our kids, home, community, and school, those three places that they can turn to people. And when schools were shut down and community spaces weren't, present, that mean it was just home. And if home is that environment that you never feel safe in, what is that option for that child? And so, unfortunately, what we are seeing when we kind of circle back to those social services that do exist in Florida, many of them are not being responsive to the needs of these students. And so that will be, shelters themselves that are directly turning away trans youth. That is shelters or foster families that will bring a child into their home. The second they find out they're LGBTQ, they'll kick them right back out. And so, how are we being more responsive? How are we ensuring that these spaces are affirming for them, and that our families, have the tools to be able to raise their child and demonstrate love to their child? When we look at research from the Family Acceptance Project, it gives really clear tips for a parent, right? It gives you 20, 30 plus examples of this is what you can do to demonstrate affirming behavior. And for families that demonstrate that affirming behavior, um, we see lower rates of suicide, lower rates of self harm, lower rates of substance abuse. One of those behaviors, right? People, so, if you took a pause and you said, what would some of these behaviors be? And some people might think is real complex, is real difficult. Some of those behaviors are literally tell your child you love them. That. And it's like our families are having to be reminded to tell their child that they love them. There's big deep seated issues that we have here, and those last services that are supposed to support our kids, clearly aren't doing enough to do just that. And so, that's, I would say, an area addressing family acceptance is something that is an incredibly difficult issue, because you're coming into a family's morals and ethics and values and all these types of things and how they plan to raise their child. But we're also coming back to what is the welfare of a child, and what do we need to do to make sure that that welfare is met. And so that is certainly something that we're watching closely and trying to understand how to better support the needs of these students in that way.